Most of us feel safe in the quiet moments. When we're home alone after a long shift, when we stop to help someone at night, or when we're just using a public restroom. But it's in these quiet moments that some of the most disturbing things happen. Tonight I'm going to share with you 3 true scary stories. Each of them begins in a place we all recognize and ends somewhere no one wants to go. Listen closely and trust your instincts. You might need them when it's your turn. Story 1. The finger trick performer and the shadow beneath the table. I had to move back in with my parents recently. Not by choice. A breakup, a bad one. The kind that leaves you feeling like a stranger in your own life. He and I had signed a lease together in Boston. Rookie mistake. Never sign a lease with someone you just got into a relationship with. Turns out, he wasn't the person I thought he was. So I packed up what little I cared to keep and left. Now I'm back in Western Massachusetts, rural, isolated, way too quiet for someone my age. I've always been more of a city girl. Out here, the silence feels louder than traffic ever did. I got my old job back at an urgent care clinic. Overnight shifts mostly. The work's easy, but the hours brutal. You eat dinner at 4:30 in the morning. You sleep through sunlight. You forget what normal feels like. That morning, I got off work at 4 a.m. I stopped at a bagel place that opens early. Picked up a sandwich and a salad. Then I remembered I needed gas. There's this Shell station near my neighborhood. It's got a massive parking lot that's almost always empty even during the day. At 4:15 a.m., it looked like a still photograph. Too still. I went inside to pay with cash. When I came out, another car had pulled in. A blue sedan, the kind that disappears in a crowd. The man who stepped out didn't look threatening, just off. As I walked toward the pump, he called out, "Wanna see a funny trick?" My skin crawled. But for some reason, I answered, "Sure." He started doing that old thumb trick, pretending to pull his finger off. But he kept doing it, over and over. And the way he looked at me, half-smiling eyes wide open like he wasn't blinking. I gave a fake laugh, hoping he'd leave. He didn't. He just stood there, pulling his finger off again and again. Finally, my tank clicked full. I rushed inside for my change. When I came back, the guy was gone. His car was still there, pump still running, but no sign of him. I checked the back seat of my car before getting in. Paranoia, maybe, but I've learned to trust it. I drove home in silence. 5 minutes. That's all it took. I grabbed the spare key my parents keep hidden in a flower pot, let myself in, and locked the door behind me. Then I returned the key. Same spot. I went to the kitchen to eat. Tried to unwind. And that's when I heard it. Click. The front door unlocking. Click. Opening. Then closing. I froze sandwich halfway to my mouth. "Mom," I called. "Dad." No answer. No footsteps. I ran upstairs to their bedroom, both still asleep, until I barged in whispering panicked nonsense. My dad jumped up, grabbed a bat from under the bed. We checked the house, room by room. When he went outside to check the spare key, it was gone. That's when it hit me. He must have followed me. I didn't see any headlights on the way home. He probably drove dark. We searched everywhere, and when my dad moved on from my brother's room, I stayed behind. I checked under the bed. Nothing. In the closet. Nothing. Then something made me go downstairs again. The dining room. Long table. Floor-length tablecloth. I dropped to my knees, lifted the cloth, and he was there. Curled up like an animal, eyes wide open, still pulling at that damn thumb. I screamed. My mom screamed. My dad charged in swinging, but the guy fought back. He was younger, stronger. All three of us jumped in, scratching, pulling, hitting. Only when we overwhelmed him did he finally break free and bolt through the front door. We called the cops. They arrived fast, but the man had vanished, and he still had that spare key. That night, my dad wedged a chair under the doorknob and slept in the living room. The next morning, we changed the locks. The days of hiding keys outside were over. A few nights later, I found a small envelope in the mailbox. No name, no stamp. Inside was a scrap of paper. Just one sentence written in red ink. You forgot to check the attic. Story 2. The broken down truck and the chilling. Thank you. I believe in karma. That's probably why this happened to me. I was driving from New York to Florida to visit my brother. 18 hours on the road. I left at 2 a.m. to avoid traffic. By 4 a.m. I was starving. I saw a sign for a Wendy's and took the exit. The road was pitch black. No streetlights, just trees and silence. There was one car in the Wendy's parking lot, parked way off in the corner, barely visible. Some lights were on inside the building. The drive-through menu was lit up, so I pulled in and waited at the speaker. Nothing. No one responded. I said, "Excuse me." Still nothing. That's when I looked it up on my phone. It didn't open until 6. And then, 3 knocks on my window. I turned and a man was standing there smiling. He motioned for me to roll the window down. I cracked it just enough. He said, "They're not open yet." I said, "Yeah, I just saw that." Then he pointed to the car in the corner. "My battery died. Can you help me jump it?" I told him I didn't have jumper cables. He said, "That's okay, I do." Then he added, "In my trunk." I glanced at his car again. It was parked half in the trees. I hesitated, but then I thought, if I were stranded, I'd want someone to help. So I said, "Okay." He moved out of the way and I pulled up next to his car. We aligned the hoods, popped them open, and hooked up the cables. I started my car. He walked back to us slowly and tried to start it. Nothing. He came back. "Maybe give it a minute," he said. Then he stepped away, pulled out his phone, and started talking in Spanish. I don't know Spanish, but I know what a setup feels like. And then it happened. 2 pickup trucks came flying into the lot from opposite sides. Engines roaring, headlights blinding. They boxed me in. I froze. The man with the cables, still smiling, but now it felt different, calculated, cold. I yanked the cables off, slammed my hood down, and ran. Into the woods. Branches slashed at me. I tripped over something hard and flat, probably a rock. I stayed down, covered myself with dead leaves, and I listened. Footsteps, voices in Spanish, getting closer. Then, they started fading, back toward the lot. A minute later, my car alarm blared. They found it. When I got back, the other vehicles were gone. Only mine remained, rear window shattered. My backpack, suitcase, clothes, electronics, everything was gone. Thousands of dollars worth. But what made it worse was the note under my windshield wiper. Just 5 words. "Thanks for stopping. Karma." The police later told me the car had fake plates. The pickups had no plates at all. There was no footage, no suspects. Just a long, lonely drive home with nothing but broken glass and regret. And 1 week later, I found the words, "Next time say no," scratched into my trunk. Story 3. The man at both rest stops. I was about 10 hours into a 15-hour drive down the East Coast. It was around 2 a.m., and I hadn't seen another car for miles. Nature called, so I looked out for a rest stop. Eventually, I saw one. A tiny building. One flickering light. Only one other car in the lot. Its windows were so dark I couldn't tell if anyone was inside. I got outstretched and headed toward the bathroom. When I opened the door, I saw something that stopped me cold. A man stood in the corner, not at the urinal, Not near the sink, just facing the wall. His head was down, arms to his sides, completely still. I paused. Thought about asking if he was okay, but something told me not to. I slipped past him into a stall, but I couldn't go. I was too tense. The silence in that room was deafening. Eventually, I flushed just to make noise and stepped out. He was still in the same place, but now, facing me, eyes wide, mouth closed, staring. There was nothing threatening about his posture, but his presence felt wrong. I left without a word. 20 minutes later, I stopped at another rest area, nearly identical, but this time, no other cars. I went in relieved to be alone, until I heard footsteps. They didn't stop at a urinal. They walked straight to the stall I was in, and stopped. Through the gap beneath the door, I saw black shoes, the same ones. I froze. My chest tightened. I whispered, "Someone's in here." No reply. I pulled out my phone, called 911, put it on speaker. 911, what's your emergency? I said it loud, I'm being followed. He's outside the stall. Seconds passed. Then the shoes turned. He left. Police arrived minutes later. They searched. He was gone. But as we pulled away, I looked in the rearview mirror. And there he was, standing outside the building, facing the wall, exactly like before. We like to believe we're safe in the routine, that locking a door is enough, that helping someone makes the world better, that someone standing still is just harmless. But tonight's stories remind us, even the most ordinary moments can unravel into something terrifying. If you have a story of your own, something real, something you never forgot, share it with me. Because the scariest stories are always the ones that really happened.